I was in the Discord chat yesterday, and Riv was like, make sure you change that topic list to 3-16 against teams with the 600+ winning record.
This hurts, Riv.
And the Bulls lost to the Bucks, right? The Bulls have a 2-17 record against teams.
Great games.
It was amazing.
Against some of the best teams in the league. They're 0-2 against the Heat, 0-3 against Philly,
0-3 against
1-1 against the Cavs, 0-2 against the Bucks, 0-1 against the Suns, 0-2 against the Warriors, 0-2 against the Grizzlies, and 1-0 against the Jazz. Now, is this stretch something to be concerned about? And, you know, what are your thoughts on Chicago moving forward, their stance in the East? I know we talk about this a lot, but, I mean, now just these stats, 2-17 is absolutely abysmal. It's hard to watch.
It's not hard to watch. Because
no.
It's not hard to watch.
Great games.
You know,
Frozen.
I was gonna.
He got locked yesterday by Drew.
I think
It's Drew. That's like we got to
But
give him that.
but that's what's gonna happen in the playoffs, though, bro. You're gonna be guarded by players.
See,
like
but
that,
if
bro.
that's the case, then we can still rely on Levine. But go ahead.
me and JC was actually having I think we was talking about that, like Middleton and Drew versus Zach and DeMar. We thought Drew would be the one guarding Zach the whole time, and then Middleton. But clearly, it didn't matter for Zach. It mattered for DeMar, because as soon as he switched Drew on DeMar,
Oh my God.
stop scoring.
No, it was Clam City.
That record is abysmal. And I've watched every Bulls game all year. I probably missed maybe 3 games, 3 doodle games. Like one time we played Houston, I didn't entertain that game. So
That's the game you got lost too.
Yeah, I didn't entertain that game. Like I don't entertain against Detroit. I didn't entertain that game. So I've watched the majority of those games, those high level games, and it's tough to watch because a lot of these teams, you can see the difference between the discipline of our team and these teams. You can see the experience. You can see the difference in experience. You can see the difference in fourth quarter, and you can see the difference in coaching. So I think a lot of it's bad because in the East, that's getting better. Philly just got James Harden. We got Philly on Monday in Philly. They just got better. Losing Ben Simmons getting Harden, that's an extreme upgrade. And then Miami, they're still going to be there. They've beaten us healthy or not healthy. Philly also, they have beaten us without Embiid, with Embiid, so it doesn't matter. Milwaukee, we've given them a tough fight, but I think, like I said, it can be injuries, but at some point it has to be, when can we step up and just thug out a win? It has to be some point, when can we just prevail? Like we're one of those teams right now that we can beat all the regular teams, we can beat all the bad teams, but we're really struggling against these top teams. I mean, we make it a game usually, but it's like we go down early, down 20, down 25. Now we have to make this heroic comeback, and we're usually gassed. Billy Donovan, DeMar DeRozan, sometimes DeMar DeRozan, he gets too aggressive. He takes, contested shots where he's getting double teamed. He's not looking for the other guy. And then Zach, at times, he becomes passive in the fourth quarter. Like, for example, I used the Milwaukee game last night. Zach was on fire. In the first quarter, Zach was absolutely killing Holiday. He was making plays for other. The Zach minutes, I feel like we won those minutes extremely. He was making plays for other. He was getting down on defense. Offensively, he was looking great. It's just in the fourth sometimes. And DeMar, he's been great as an MVP candidate. He's been great this season. But I think this year he's kind of got a little bit in his head because sometimes he gets in the fourth and he doesn't pass the ball. He sometimes forces shots. I feel like in the fourth, Zach should have got, he should have really controlled the offense more. And I think we still have to find that balance of when one guy can be aggressive, one guy can be passive, Zach being too passive. Because sometimes he gets 24 in sleep. So sometimes he needs to be more aggressive. But I think, right now, that's a bad thing for us because we're going to have to play one of those top teams in the first round. And we haven't beaten any of them. Last night was optimism because that was one of the best games I've seen us play in the last 2 months. And hopefully, we're a team that's built. We don't have a top 10 solidified player. We don't. These teams have Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid. We don't have a top 10 solidified player. We don't have that. So
this season, you have a top 10 player.
I don't agree. We
We
don't have a top 10 solidified player.
That's mean
so
to say.
I think the way we're constructed, we have to be fully healthy. We have to maximize all of our players. All role players have to play at their best. Our 2 guys have to be that. We're not like these other teams where Kevin Durant can save us, Joel Embiid or James Harden can save us. We don't have that. We need to fully maximize our guys. So I think us being hurt really has hurting us better than most. But I'm still optimistic because, like I said, I still think this is a team that healthy could still give some teams some trouble. But this is very bad.
It's a lot different tone than it was a couple months ago.
Well, we're still top in the league, top 4. So
top 4.
We're not playing. No offense.
Oof.
But you're scared of us.
Scared?
Yeah.
You
just said you don't want to play Brooklyn in the first round.
Because
You
I'm
literally
trying to
just
play
say
somebody
that.
easy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not scared to play you guys. I mean,
I'm just saying it's a lot different tone.
I'll say this.
Well, Zach went out and Demar prevailed.
I am concerned for the sole fact that if they're not healthy, defensively, they're contenders. Yeah, they're still contenders. However, for me, there's no contender because I just have Milwaukee, regardless of any other Eastern Conference team.
Okay.
But in the grand scheme of things, in a general sense, they're a contender. With Lonzo and Caruso healthy defensively, they're a contender for sure. I just look at these certain games, and with what you said about Derozan in the fourth quarter, I agree and disagree. I agree in the sense that LaVine is as good as a scorer as DeMar can be, for sure. I think that he has been a little bit too passive in the fourth quarter, but I disagree because DeMar DeRozan has been so lights out in the fourth quarter that I don't mind him deferring because of how great he's been in these closedown moments. However, you're 100% right. It's not as if Zach is a complete drop-off that he should just consistently be deferring to DeMar. LaVine is like that.
You had Chris Middleton on you, bro.
Yeah, and he was eating him alive. Zach LaVine is that dangerous of a scorer. He can do it in all facets. Laugh if you want. LaVine is like that.
No, we're not laughing at that, bro.
So, in the sense of being concerned about the team, 2-17 is not great, but a lot of these over 500 teams, over 600 win teams that they've lost to has been without Lonzo, has been without Caruso. A lot of what my expectation of the Bulls are is if they are a healthy team. If you have Lonzo, one of the better role players in the league, one of the best defensive guards in the league, Caruso, one of the best defensive guards in the league. This is one of the best backcourt defensive guards that we have in the NBA, truthfully. And them being out, it shows when they play these high-level teams. Right now, I'm looking at Philadelphia. It's really hard for me to not say that Philadelphia is not a better team than Chicago right now. They have the star power. They have the dominant force that is Joel Embiid. They have one of the best, if not the best playmaker in James Harden. Tyrese Maxey has come in and blossomed onto the stage as a potential star in this league, if not already claimed himself as a star. This offensive trio is right now the best offensive trio we have in the NBA. I can say that confidently. They're the best. Since they've come together, they average almost 85 points a game. Yeah, that is insanity.
That's better than LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I agree with that.
No, it's a fact.
No, I agree with that. The fact that James Harden has come in and he's elevated Joel Embiid to a higher level, which I didn't think was possible, but it just speaks volumes to James Harden's greatness.
James Harden.
Maxey, has come in. Since Harden's come in, Maxey has just taken his game to another notch where there was a time where Maxey was struggling from the field. I think he only had like either 3 or 6 points, one of the two. And Harden goes to him and he says, are you going to play tonight? And Maxey erupts for 20-plus points in the second half. It just already speaks to how bought in Philly is to having James Harden come in. I just look at I look at Philadelphia, I look at Milwaukee, and these are just teams that I genuinely think are just stronger than Chicago right now. And it's hard for me to say because when healthy, I think the world of Chicago. But right now, it's hard not to look at those two teams and not have them over them.
Chicago reminds me a lot of Brooklyn in this sense right now. Brooklyn was getting a lot of heat in the early part of the season because we couldn't beat these great teams. Granted, we didn't have Kyrie Irving, so that's not a full sample size of the team or the product that's on the court. I get we had Kevin Durant and James Harden, but James Harden up to that point wasn't playing to that level. With that being said, though, I mean, in the entire Eastern Conference, I never really had Chicago past the second round team. I agree with you. I don't think they're better than Philly. I don't think they're better than Milwaukee. I don't think they're better than Miami. And, but I'm going to show them, I'm going to show them a little remorse because losing Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso is pivotal to that team. I mean, you have a guard rotation, Alonzo Ball, who's a great defender, and you have another one off the bench in Alex Caruso. And we saw what the Bulls were doing, and we saw how dominant they were defensively when those two guys were there. It's a completely different game if you have Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso guarding Chris Middleton, guarding Drew Holiday. It's a completely different game.
Bless you.
He got hurt in January. What was I asking about Lonzo Ball?
January? All right.
No, I looked it up before.
But, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's a horrendous record against, great teams. But I was of the belief that I didn't think the Bulls were ever really a serious contending team to get out the East, to be honest. I always thought Miami was better. I always thought Milwaukee was better. I still think I still like the Nets' chances if they're healthy against Milwaukee. And, you know, it's unfortunate.
Against Chicago.
Okay, against Chicago, pardon me. You know, it's unfortunate. I mean, you know, Chicago has been dealing with injuries. They have actually been one of the most injury-plagued teams in the entire NBA at the start of the season. Zach LaVine was out. He still has a lingering injury. They lost two of their guards, Pat Williams, before the season even started. That was a big hit off rip for them. That was one of their best defenders. So they have been struggling, and you know, the record, it is what it is, but I don't put too much stock into it solely because you're missing your two best defensive players on the basketball court, which are your guards, Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. So we saw how different they were defensively when they were on the court. They can pretty much handle most of the backcourts. I'm not saying they're going to shut every backcourt down, but every elite backcourt, I feel comfortable putting Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso as my frontline defenders on their best guards. But with that being said, I mean, the record's horrendous, but I never thought that the Bulls were ever a threat to really come out of the East. I don't know. I like just DeMar DeRozan in general. Like, people are telling me this is a different DeMar DeRozan. And while it may be, and while he is playing great this season, I mean, he has a track record of underperforming in the playoffs. And history tells me that he's going to underperform. So that's been one of the main reasons why I don't think that Chicago will, you know, get past the second round. And what River said is true. Although DeMar DeRozan is having an excellent season, he's definitely not a top 10 player in the NBA. just off value, but off what we've seen.
This season, you wouldn't say he's a top 10 player.
I'm not changing my list off one season, to be honest with you. There was never a season I thought DeMar DeRozan was anywhere near the top 10, to be honest with you.
I agree with that, but this is the only season you could argue it.
That's fine. I have to see it. If DeMar DeRozan were to have this caliber season and dominate the playoffs and get, okay, you got it, then he's in my top 10. Mm-hmm. But until that happens, a regular season doesn't move me. It doesn't sway me. It matters when you get into the postseason and how you perform.
But that duo of LaVine and DeMar DeRozan,
DeMar DeRozan's been elite in the fourth quarter. But I'm telling you, against teams like Milwaukee, against teams like Miami who guard up, it's going to be harder. There's teams that can game plan for you. There's teams that are great defensively that you can put on their best scorer, which is DeMar DeRozan. There's a bunch of teams. Miami, you run into a PJ Tucker, a Jimmy Butler. Milwaukee, we saw what Drew Holiday can do to a DeMar DeRozan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so while I do think the Bulls are a great team, and I do think this record is a little flawed because they are missing their two best backcourt players, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been on the Bulls wagon like you guys have been all year. I never thought that they were going to get past the second round.
The Bulls should be concerned. But they shouldn't be concerned for the reasons of not winning against great teams. Because, frankly, they aren't as good as those great teams. It's just the bottom line of it. And when you go into these games without your best two defenders in Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso, for Chicago, it hurts them a bit more than any other team. For the reason being that they're the opposite of Utah. As long as Rudy Gobert is out there for Utah, the Jazz will be elite defensively no matter who are their guards that are guarding up. Chicago doesn't have an elite rim protector, so they count on their guards more than other teams to really stop the ball, defend, make guards pick up their dribble, and pass the ball. And without Caruso, without Lonzo, it's difficult to do that. The Bulls' best lineup, in my opinion, is Lonzo, Caruso, LaVine, DeMar, and Vucevic. That's their best lineup, in my opinion. Small ball, you still have Vucevic at the 5. You can stretch out the floor. But that's just not good enough for the top teams in the East. They can't beat the Bucks. They can't beat Miami. They for damn sure can't beat Philadelphia. The Sixers are first in offense, sixth in defense, second lowest turnover rate, third in point differential, first in EFG and free throw rate, and fourth in three-point percentage since the James Harden trade. I was wrong about the fit with Philly and Harden, with Embiid and Harden, because it's clear they are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and they might smack the Bulls in 5. That's how it's going to be. Really, what you say about the Warriors dog walk, I think the dog walk thing with the Warriors in the West, it might be more of like a pit bull, untrained dog walk. It's going to be running around. But the dog walk 76ers will have against Chicago, it's going to be like a chill dog. Just okay. It's a normal walk. That's how it's going to be. No pressure whatsoever.
Dog walk to the finals or not?
I'm not going to say that.
I agree.
But dog walk in Chicago for certain. DeMar DeRozan, like you mentioned, his playoff career, 22 points per game, shooting 42% from the field and 23% from three. He might be a different player, but I'm a believer when I see it.
Same for Embiid.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid still, his stats in the playoffs are great.
Same for Harden.
His stats in the playoffs are great.
See it when we believe it.
His stats in the playoffs are great.
Tobias Harris, too. We'll definitely see that when we believe it.
He had a great playoffs last season, for sure.
It was cool.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that the concern should be there because injuries are piling up for them. Pat Will, Lonzo, Caruso. But even when fully healthy, I mean, Bulls fans coming into the season, I don't think you guys had the expectation of making it to the ECF. I don't think you guys had the expectation of, let's just get to the playoffs, and then we'll see. Now that the Bulls have made it to the first seed, now the expectations are, okay, maybe we can make it to the ECF. Maybe we can make it to the finals. But I'm here to temper those expectations, man. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the offseason where y'all just wanted to make the playoffs, where y'all was still worrying about if we're going to be better than the Knicks.
No, you were worried about that.
So that's what's happening. But I'm here to bring you guys back to August of 2021. Just be happy with the playoff, bro. That's it.
I think in a perfect world, like we're 4th seed right now. We play Boston. I think we could beat Boston.
Tough series.
That's a very tough
every series is going to be tough, but I think we can beat Boston.
point.
And then we'll have to see Miami or Nets or Raptors, whoever comes out of that one, and then we're in the second round. So, I think that's a really good season, honestly. I really do. So, for me personally, like, I don't know, because it's like I said before, we don't, like, Demar isn't, like,
a
top
Bulls fans is talking crazy.
a top 10.
They are.
Oh, Dante, I got y'all all on notice, but I was talking crazy when the Bulls
You
had
don't got
their
me on. You don't got. I've never said you don't got me.
It's not like the Nets have been all world for you to be on this.
The Lakers suck. Stop talking to me.
We're talking about teams.
I know, but y'all in the
East.
same position as me, so.
No, we're not.
We're
way
worse.
worse.
We're
Way worse.
We're in the plan.
We're in a way worse
So you
position.
admit we're better than you, okay?
Yeah,
Because
I solely mean it on the sense of
Dante.
Yeah, but I've never said.
Nah.
I've never said we're going to the finals.
You
I've
definitely
never-
said you could make it out the East, Rev.
I said, but no. When the list happened, I said bias, Rev, and then I said Bulls coming out the East.
So,
I mean,
I had
you
Milwaukee.
the Nets
I had
winning the
Milwaukee.
finals.
Dante, Devine, both have been talking crazy all season
facts.
about the Bulls.
But you said I had Bulls coming out the East. When I was with him, and I said Bucks.
No, you said the ECF
didn't.
could be the Bulls and the Bucks. That's literally what you said.
Oh, I said bias though. I was being biased.
What you need to do
Temper
is
it
put
down a
that
little
stock
bit.
into the Miami Heat. They're the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
And in
Behind
Milwaukee.
Philly. Behind Philly.
You're bugging now.
Philly's the best team.
Well,
bugging now.
I think I've been saying all year. I think Miami could beat Milwaukee if they face.
This fascination with Miami.
But we
It's
have
a
that
lot.
bet. We
People
still
love
have
them.
that bet though.
Jimmy Butler has
What's the
been.
bet?
Remember $100 if Miami
Miami who?
and Milwaukee play.
Oh
you
yeah,
think Milwaukee?
1,000%.
Can I get in on that?
We go up and up. I'm not really worried too much about
go.
that.
On to the last segment of the show. So Bradley Beal might get the Supermax.
I love that this is the last topic of the show.
Bradley
Very
Beal.
mellow. Just
Right, we showed
Nobody
love
cares.
to Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal says it's fair to say he's leaning towards re-signing with the Wizards. It would be a 5-year, $246 million deal, $49.2 million a year.
You
Now,
want that bread, bro? You about that paper?
if the Wizards give Bradley Beal a Supermax, would that be a mistake?
Can I go first?
Reggie Jackson was a plus 44 when he played you guys.
Yeah? That's nuts. Let me say this. man.
Dinwiddie had 36 tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Age like one. Age like
I'm a
one.
Nets fan.
Huh?
I was a Nets fan. My guy.
No, I just mean in the sense that we had that. And
but-
he started shaky, but he started to come into
He's
his
a
own
good
recently.
bench player,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, he's good. That's what.
But,
he is.
um,
great six.
This would be such a huge mistake. Right now, Bradley Beal, he is a great scorer, no doubt. He's a good rebounder, decent playmaker, sure. Ultimately, you can't win
He's a good
with this
player,
guy
bro.
as the number one on your team.
I like Dinwiddie.
Even in his best season with the Wizards, they didn't get past the first round.
It was him and Westbrook.
It's
right?
a lot that has to go on within the organization. There's a lot that has to go on within the organization for them to put together a team with Bradley Beal being their best player to compete for a championship. And right now, with the East getting better and better, probably the best the East has been in over two decades.
Since
maybe.
Jordan. No, I'm just joking.
2011.
Yes,
I'm
something along that line.
Was it?
The Wizards are going to be
Orlando,
put in a spot
Miami
where
was still the favorite though, right?
Yeah, but you still
With
had
the
tough teams. Miami,
It was tough, but I always had
Orlando,
Miami coming out.
Chicago, Atlanta was still good. It was a really tough.
The
year.
Pacers. Yeah.
But the Wizards are going to be put in a spot where they either need to figure it out as an organization of how to build a championship caliber team with Bradley Beal as their guy, or they could save $245 That's what the deal was, 245.
Supermax, yeah.
A supermax
249.
249 of
49 million a year.
giving him over almost 50 exactly, giving him almost $50 million a season.
He better
when
sign
right
that.
now. If he's smart, he takes the money because that is a stupid contract. But if I'm the Wizards, I look at Bradley Beal and I understand the value that I could get for him. Do I want to be put in a position where I'm forced to building a team around Bradley Beal as my best player? Or do I want to try and trade Bradley Beal, get assets, get future picks that I could put into building a future for the Washington Wizards? Right now, the Wizards aren't a top destination for free agents by any means. It has been like that for years. They've never been a spot where players want to go play, even when they had Wall, even when they had Beal together as that duo. No one really was attracted to go play in Washington. It's going to continue to be that way. It doesn't matter who's the main guy on the team. They need to build through the draft. And giving Bradley Beal this money would put them at a huge disadvantage to compete in the East for years to come.
You ever thought about the possibility of maybe a sign and trade?
No team's going to want to give him 245.
No, Washington gives him that money, and then they trade Bradley Beal.
Correct, and whatever team he goes to is going to have to pay them that bread.
This is I
I
don't
don't
want
let him walk.
you know what's
raging next year.
You think that Beal is a superstar, so you think he deserves this?
It's not about. I don't think. First of all, I don't think he's a superstar. What's wrong with you?
Like when Mike Conley was the highest paid player in the NBA.
I think it's really about situation. You gotta look at Washington and just be like if I'm Washington, do I want to be competitive? Bradley Beal makes us somewhat competitive, but if I'm like, there's nobody, like you said, there's nobody gonna come here. This is probably the best star I'm gonna get, right? And I don't know what's the position like they're stuck in kind of a weird position because they got all these guys under contract. You know, Kyle Kuzma, he's good, but he's what he's gonna be. Thomas Bryant is what he's gonna be. Like they have a lot of what he's gonna be type of players. I mean,
Pope.
Danny Avia, goodness gracious. KCP, yeah, he's what he's
What
gonna
about
be.
Denny?
He's a good player.
Yeah,
I was saying when you said that, he's really what he's gonna be. But Danny Avia, he's a really good player. So I think like him, Rui,
Gafford.
but you still, even Rui, it's like, you kind of can hit at what he's going to be. Gafford, too. So it's like they don't have any young, real star to kind of build around. So they're kind of stuck in this place where it's like, do we give him the super max to be competitive? Do we let him walk and we just become nothing? I think like the best position probably would be to just either maybe work on a destination to send them to get some assets back. And if not, ultimately, you have to just let him walk. Don't put yourself in a position where you keep Bradley Beal for 6 long years. He's 28 years old. So by 34, that would be his contract end. You don't want to keep him for that long. You want to keep building on this draft picks. You're Washington. You're D.C. Nobody wants to play in D.C. Nobody wants to play there. So your best bet is to go through the draft, build strong. You know, maybe if you can't trade back Beal for some assets, let him walk to free agency. Let him go find someplace else because you're not going to win with this roster. You're not going to make the playoffs with this roster. You're struggling to get in the play-in right now. So I think this is definitely a bad mistake. But for Beal, take the money. I actually sign it tomorrow. This is a big deal. Like, get your bread, bro.